Good evening from the Bread Queen 7000 Memorial Amphitheater on the beautiful University of Conchalore campus in Kipchem, Conchalore. I'm Ratatoing 8990 of the Newport Report.
And I am a cycler with BuzzPort. Tonight we'll be hearing from two candidates who are currently fighting to become the third president of the Server Federation. As a reminder to the audience, the president has the power to pardon criminals, veto any law passed by the World Congress, and cast the tie-breaking vote in the High Council, among other things.
Before we begin, we'd like to remind the candidates and the audience that this debate is being recorded.
These questions have not been shared with the campaigns. Now let's welcome the candidates.
Incumbent President Malachi Brown, 523 of the Lore Party. And Senator and former President Crustaceans of the Commoners Party.
As if the campaigns were already spicy enough, may I remind everyone that both candidates used to be married to each other, but had a messy divorce soon after the last election when they ran against each other.
And to make things even spicier, both of us, the moderators, dated casually for a few years, but decided to split up due to religious differences. This is extremely uncomfortable.
That's right, and to make things even spicier, I am currently married to Senator Crustaceans. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Blatant bias.
Also, she has multiple other spouses and a massive web of polygamous marriages, one of whom is my daughter. I am not directly married to my daughter. Anyway, let's continue.
Each of you will now have 1 minute to make your opening statements. Let's begin with incumbent President Malachi Brown.
Good evening, senators and residents of the Server Federation. This time last month, you chose me to serve as your second president, and together, we built the Server Federation into something great. Under my administration, we prioritized education by becoming the only country in the world with a university. We have carefully navigated the Hoth crisis to avoid a war which some said was inevitable. And we prioritized the people by kickstarting the Conchalore UBI pilot program, which I promised to expand to the rest of the nation if re-elected. I believe there's a reason you chose me over Krusty last month. Tomorrow, I hope that you'll make the same choice that you did a month ago. A choice to preserve the democracy that we've built together, and a choice to spread that democracy to others who don't have a voice. A voice for President Malachi Brown, 523. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Crustaceans, go ahead.
Hello, and thank you for attending this debate between myself and the Lore Party puppet Malachi Brown 523. I am the representative from the Commoners Party for presidency. Our party advocates for the common people first and foremost above all else. We believe in diplomacy, which I've displayed in my time as the first president when I fought for the change of the inconsiderate constitution and power grab by the forefathers of the Federation. We support the UBI program started by the Lore Party, and should the program be shown to be ethical, we will continue such a program. However, if it is verified that the Lore Party is engaging in villager trafficking, we will swiftly end the abuses of these leaders. We believe in marital rights of all citizens, be it with one or multiple spouses. Ultimately, this platform is run on the idea that all people deserve rights, be them Federation citizens or Newportian citizens, and we wish that all those who believe in basic players' rights vote for the presidency of Crustaceans.
The first half of the debate will focus on foreign policy. Each candidate will have a maximum of 20 seconds to answer the question. After both candidates have answered the question, candidates may open it up to open debate and discussion if they wish. First question. It is no secret that the Server Federation has had a complicated relationship with the First Newportian Empire for most of its short history. As president, how would you approach diplomatic relations with the Empire? Let's start with Senator Crustaceans.
Thank you for having me. So when approaching the Newportian Empire, I've always been a firm believer in them being allowed to have their sovereignty. I think that the Lore Party in the past has always attack the sovereignty of the Newportian Empire in retaliation for them not joining the Federation. And I think it's important that the Newportians are allowed to live freely and that we continue a good relations with them throughout our time.
Mr. President?
As Earl of Blartsburg, I once made a treaty with the First Newportian Empire that started a program called High Ground, the first scientific and international organization that served both countries. And I hope, as the constituent government of Blartsburg is now a part of the Server Federation, that we can resume such programs like High Ground for the betterment of both the First Newportian Empire and the Server Federation.
Would either of you
A
like
second
to...
question.
Oh,
My bad. Continue, sorry.
of course. Would either of you like to open it up to discussion or offer a rebuttal to your opponent's answer?
I would just like a quick comment that, yes, Malachi was Earl Blartsburg when High Ground was established, but I was Emperor of Newport during that time as well. So I also helped establish that diplomatic relations between Newport and Blartsburg, especially during a time when we were threatening war when there was concerns of war being threatened upon Blartsburg for territory.
I would like to remind Senator Crustaceans that she was the one imposing threats against Blartsburg. She wanted Blartsburg annexed into the First Newportian Empire. She was the hostile one throughout her entire reign in Blartsburg First Newportian Empire relations.
I would like it to be known that it was my husband, Ratatoing 8990, who was the one who was really pushing for us to take over Blartsburg. I did not hear that much. I just thought the lore would be really good if something like that happened.
So, Madame, forgive me, but you are not a strong enough leader to stand for your own opinions and your government's ideals without a husband behind you or a wife pushing you for her ideals.
Excuse you?
That you
Who was this, Malachi?
You cannot side for peace because your spouse was pushing you for war.
All right. There'll be plenty of time for this. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay, second question. Senator Crustaceans, you have citizenship in at least 2 other countries outside of the Server Federation. How will you guarantee that your duty to the Federation will be prioritized over your commitments to those other countries?
Well, as defined by the citizenship laws of spending your most time, I spend the most time at Kip Kim. Basically, all my businesses in Newport have closed, so I still have a lot of stuff in Newport, but I conduct most of my business out of Kip Kim and all that such, and I would consider Equinox to be my summer home. So one place that I go for like vacation and such. And I just like to build, so I like to build houses in different places, but my main time is spent here, which is why I've been designated as a main citizen of the Server Federation.
Will that be all?
Yeah, I guess I could add that, like, my residencies in Newport will also help those diplomatic relations that we have.
Right, yeah, okay, cool.
Mr. President, would you like to offer another view on that question?
No, I don't think I will. I think I'll allow Senator Crustaceans to to sit peacefully for a couple minutes.
Okay, next question. President Malachi Brown 523. It's clear that you are not an involved citizen of any countries outside of the Server Federation. How do you intend to keep peace between the Server Federation and other countries without necessarily understanding their side of any possible conflicts?
I would like to remind everybody listening that I am a part of the royal family of the First Newportian Empire. I have incredibly strong ties to them. And of course, while my political loyalties are not necessarily to them, my father, the emperor, and my mother, the empress, all talk on a regular basis. Not necessarily about politics, but sometimes just going to Chili's and having a talk. My personal relations with the leaders of the First Newportian Empire could not be stronger, and I could not empathize with them more than being members of my own family.
Senator Crustaceans, would you like to offer another side of that kind of statement?
No, not really.
Okay, great.
I mean, he basically said I have nepotism in my favor, and I'm not going to argue with him on that, so.
Haha, I'm nepotic.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Mr. President, we'll start with you. Last month, the secession of the Federation territory of Hoth to join the Empire sparked an international crisis. Mr. President, looking back, would you have handled the situation differently, and how so? Madam Senator, when it's your turn, if you were president during the Hoth crisis, how would you have handled the situation?
Looking back with what seems like an infinite amount more of wisdom than I had, I think that I would have handled it by quelling tensions as soon as they arose. I think that while as much as in the moment I would wish that Hoth were still a part of the Server Federation, I understand that there is a need for freedom, especially for a territory and a government leader that is not incredibly active in the Server Federation to have that freedom apart from us, to spread their own wings, to build as they will. And I think that we really could have been more civil in that situation. And looking back on that, I probably would have let them secede much sooner than I had, rather than holding on to something that in reality the Server Federation just couldn't hold on to.
Madam Senator, again, if you were president during the Hoth crisis, how would you have handled the situation?
So first I want to talk about what led to the Hoth crisis. So the Hoth crisis happened because Isaac wanted Hoth to be able to be recognized as Hoth and Coruscant, I believe, to be recognized as another country in the Federation. And so he proposed a law as a Federation citizen, and it was approved. And then within the guidelines of that law, he met those guidelines and said, hey, Hoth should be able to be part of the Federation now. I have met these guidelines. To which Sam replied, no, I didn't realize what those guidelines meant. I didn't read the law carefully enough. I don't think you should be able to do this because I didn't read this carefully enough. To which that then started the Hoth crisis, in which Isaac was just like, well, you voted on it and it's what the law is, and I should be allowed to be part of the Server Federation. To which Sam said unilaterally, no. And Malachi sided with him as his little puppet. And so...
I would like textual proof for me explicitly saying no, that Isaac could not.
You or Sam? Sam definitely did.
I am not a part of this debate.
Okay, so the Lore Party, one of the leaders of the Lore Party did this. And so what then happened after that is
Madam
Hoth wanted to
Senator, your time is running out. Can you please get to the point?
The point is that I would have not taken that law and said, oh, well, I didn't read it carefully enough, and so I don't want you to be part of the Federation. And so the Hoth crisis never would have happened had I been president. And then had something similar happen where a territory wants to secede, I would let them, because I believe in freedom for the people and their rights.
And I will now turn it over to my co-host from BuzzPort.
Oh, okay, cool.
Is this section not up for debate?
I know, I thought we were going to
Oh,
debate
yeah.
over this, but...
Do you want to debate it?
If you don't mind.
Go for it.
I would like to pull attention to the fact that the Lower Party, during the Hoth crisis, did not actually try to nullify the law that Isaac passed in order to get Hoth as a constituent government. We never nullified that law. We never even tried to. What we did was try to make amendments to it and specify what that law meant completely legally within the World Congress by votes of other people. If those people had majority voted, as democracy works, and it would have happened. And if the people had not majority voted, as democracy works, it would not have happened. The simplest way to solve the Hoth crisis was to vote the way that you wanted to on the bill that I proposed at the beginning of the Hoth crisis, in which case either Hoth would have been a constituent government or it would not have been, and it would have seceded anyway. All of that in conclusion with the Hoth crisis, that the Lower Party did not try to pull a fast one, nor did we do anything illegal. We simply allowed democracy to take its course in the way that we thought was...
No offense, but that is just simply not what happened. Isaac proposed this law about how to be introduced for a territory into being part of the Server Federation, like as another government. And it was voted on. It passed democratically. And then after the fact, when Isaac said, here, let me just read the messages.
Madam Senator, we really should move on. We don't have time.
I can't hear anything.
I would like to point out that the law does include a majority passing for the constituent government to be considered a constituent government, and that never did happen. They were never actually a constituent government.
To be able to apply. So are you saying to be able to apply, and you guys wouldn't even let Isaac apply?
He did apply. All that had to happen.
And you guys said, Samuel said 12/14/2020. I know I didn't read it close enough last time I guessed, but my negligence shouldn't allow a new country to manipulate the system, even though Isaac got in democratically because everyone voted on it.
Presidential debate, not a party debate. Presidential, not party.
So you're not responsible for your party members?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
Am I the Lower Party? No, I'm Malachi 5.
So if one of the members of your party were to go and burn down the university right now, would you denounce him? And would you say, I apologize that I did not keep this member intact?
Madam President,
would you
I
do
have
the
to
same?
step in here. That is a gross straw
Would
man
you
that
do the
just
same?
presented.
Would you do the same? Would you do the same?
Yes, if Bennett committed arson, I would say I apologize for not keeping him intact.
Yeah, like remember when...
Could the moderators tell the audience to cool it? I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
We really should move on to the next topic. This has devolved into fallacious arguments. Would you like to
Okay. Okay, the second half of the debate will focus on domestic policy. Once again, each candidate will have a maximum of 20 seconds to answer the question. After both candidates have answered the question, candidates may open it up to open this debate and discussion if they wish.
This question, we will start with Krusty, and then Malachi, you can answer it after. A recent economic report by EGTG International Bank claims that iron could become worthless as a currency in the near future due to inflation. What is your view on this claim, and how would you approach this situation as president?
Before we continue with this, I would like to say that that claim was debunked in the last report.
I will mute the audience now.
Well, the bank themselves just said it's debunked, but should that happen, should it happen that the iron prices keep going up, I will argue that the value of iron will never completely go away. It will not become worthless because you can always do things with iron. You can always use iron to mine. You can always use iron for any sort of tools, any sort of decoration. It's a very useful tool. So even if prices do go up some, it will still always be a necessity. And I think it's just a natural order of things for prices to go up eventually. And that also, when prices go up, it also just means that the wages for the workers go up. So it's just the natural order of everything.
Mr. President.
I would like to look at the way that we count the value of iron. I think that on a certain level, the economics of our Minecraft world, both First Newport Empire and Server Federation, are not at all like the way that we would study at a unlore, real-life university relore. In the sense,
Audience.
in the sense that we don't judge iron by how much iron is in the system. We have always judged iron by how much time it takes to mine it. Whenever we are paying people to do a job, we don't pay them, I'll give you 64 iron because this is how much that's worth. We have always, several businesses, including my own and Ratatouille Industries, have always measured it by this is how much time it would take to mine this much iron. I'm paying you for this much time, hence this much iron. Therefore, the value of X cannot be decreased because the amount of time spending looking for iron shall always remain the same, unless, of course, we have to go outside.
I'm going to ask that the audience stop clapping between every message so that all the members will be able to hear properly.
I would also like to ask the audience to stop clapping in between each message so that all the members can hear properly. Would the candidates like to open this topic up to discussion?
I don't really have a rebuttal to that. I basically agree that I think counting things as how long it takes to mine is fine. I think inflation will happen anyway because a lot of people don't mine at all. Like, I mine for fun, Alontis mines for fun, but I know that Ratatouille 8990 doesn't really mine for fun. He just will buy things and sell things in order to make his money. And so I think that there will always have to be some sort of system outside of mining as well to measure iron, but I basically agree with Malachi in that. That was discussion.
We are moving on. Okay, moving on. Following the success of the Universal Basic Income Pilot Program, also known as the UBI program, in Conchalore, in which all citizens got a weekly stipend of 3 stacks of iron, both of your parties have promised to expand UBI to the rest of the Federation. Specifically, how would your federal UBI program work? Who would be responsible for delivering the payments and how would it be funded? Krusty, you may go first.
So, this is my thing with UBI. I think that that I would like to continue the system that the lower party set up, and I would love to personally deliver it myself. And I would also like a debate for the lower party to tell us specifically how they get their iron, because as we all know, there have been rumors that there are villager trafficking in order to get this iron. And should that be true, I do not think that any amount of money is worth trafficking villagers. And so should that be true, I should shut it down. But I would hope that the lower party is diplomatic enough that they will introduce the system to the Commoners Party so that we may continue this UBI system and not hold this money hostage as a token of saying, vote for me if you want UBI. Otherwise, I will not share these secrets with anyone else.
So,
Malachi Brown, go ahead.
thank you. So the Lore Party does fund the UBI program through use of an iron farm. And I understand that while villager trafficking does, in some light, seem terrible, I would like to remind Madam Crustaceans that herself was pro-villager trafficking when it came to amending enchantment book.
Oh, is that all you have to say?
No,
Okay.
that is not. So the way that the capitalism of the Server Federation works is that we don't actually have any government-owned industry. The UBI farm is owned by Lore Bank, and therefore Lore Bank also has to be in on the deal with the Server Federation in part of the UBI program. Therefore, the Server Federation cannot, in and of itself, make a law forcing the UBI program from the Lore Bank. Lore Bank has to agree with it, otherwise that is not freedom.
Would the candidates like to open this topic up to
Yes.
debate? Okay.
So first of all, you're defending trafficking, so that happened, and then you're saying that I've defended it in the seeking of amending book with the whatever it was called. What was that name of the villager thingy in Newport?
I wouldn't know. I had no part in it.
Whatever it was called, that is exceedingly different because that we gave them all homes, and we essentially just took their village and moved it to Newport, rather than having a farm in which we are causing them to be afraid and causing them to sometimes die for us in order for us to get iron. It's a very, very different scenario. And even if it is, when I do look back, I do think that it was not the best idea for me to be in support, and I do apologize for any harm I did to villagers back then, but I do not support villager trafficking now. So that's one point. Another point would be iron farms will hurt our economy because then basically it is no longer about how long it takes to mine iron to figure out how much an iron costs. As Malachi was saying before, and what I agreed with, it's saying how long does it take to farm, which takes much less time. And another point is you're saying that this is all about the Lore Party Bank, and so it has to be worked out with the government. So I would love to work out a deal with the Lore Party, but I don't think it would.
It is not the Lore Party Bank. It has no political ties. It is the Lore Bank.
So I would love to work out a deal with the Lore Bank in order for UBI to continue. However, I support this villager trafficking. I do not find it correct or right. And I am not pro-iron farms in any sort of the sense of it because it's causing harm on these villagers, causing them to be afraid and causing them to die and killing peaceful iron golems. There's no need for it.
I would like to point out that you are both supporting inflation by suggesting the use of an iron farm in continuation of the UBI program and also condemning it at the same time.
No. I said I would like to continue the UBI program if the way that the Lore Party does it is seen as ethical. It was not until tonight that it was confirmed that you guys do the UBI program in an unethical way.
I wasn't pointing out to that argument. I was pointing out to the argument about taking the time to mine iron.
Was it not your own research that between yourself and Redditoing that UBI does not cause inflation?
That was not my research.
Okay, was it not the research of the Lore Bank?
Lore Bank did not do that research. That would be on behalf of Archduke Isaac 4760, his bank.
I don't think so. It was definitely Sam who did that research and found that the cost of iron or whatever did not cause inflation. Yeah, whatever that was.
Malachi, would you like to offer a rebuttal?
Malachi, are you in support of villager trafficking?
I would like to argue that this villager trafficking is not actually necessarily trafficking. I think that, first of all, no villagers die in an iron farm, so that was wrong. Secondly, we do have nice villager places. We didn't just put them in there in a glass cube. We actually put time and effort into it. And not to mention that they are they are safer. They are safer where they are now than in the actual village. There are no enemies that can kill them. Which, as we can see, right outside of Kipcam is an abandoned village next to a pillager tower that was attacked. And I, for one, think that the villagers are much safer, much less scared than they would be in any sort of a village next to whatever they were next to.
So please explain exactly how you get the iron. Please explain exactly how you get iron from an iron farm.
That knowledge is not enlightened to me. You will have to ask the head of Lore Bank.
Sam, how does this work?
This is a presidential debate, not a...
No. If I'm going to argue about this, I want to know how this works.
I'm just the moderator. I don't have any answers for you.
This is a presidential debate.
Okay, so is it not, as reported by BuzzPort, though, that
Yikes.
the villager is scared, and that's how the iron is farmed?
As I understand, that article by BuzzPort was completely baseless, and they didn't do any actual research. I think you're getting all
What do you
your
mean?
news from television.
Okay, most iron farms are
existing.
most
I'd
iron
also
farms
like to
are
point out the
created on that
blatant
basis.
bias of BuzzPort. First of all, being the spouse of my political opponent, and second of all, just read one of their articles.
Okay, you haven't even read some of them.
I think
I'm
we should
just
move on.
saying.
I think we need to move on
Yeah,
right
this
now.
is getting a little bit too personal. Excuse you.
Yeah, okay. All right. There has been talk of
Inappropriate.
there's been talk of reforming or even abolishing the High Council. Mr. President, do you agree with this proposal, and why or why not?
You know, I think that the High Council does need to be reformed. It was put into place when the Server Federation did not have very many people, and the only political leaders within our government were the political leaders that put together the Server Federation, which was myself, Senator Ratatouille 8990, Slammer Doc, and Brandon. Sorry, not Brandon. What's his name? Of Petra. And
A second.
and I think it was a primitive form of government and effective perhaps in its time, but it does need reform. It was not perfect. I don't think that us founding fathers put it in place to be there in the long run. It was more of a temporary fix to a long-term problem that we had to get fixed out right away. Do so now, starting that with the third Congress.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part? The audience piped up.
I said that we can start the solution to this problem now with the third Congress.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Senator.
The Commoner Party supports the abolition of the High Council. For those who don't know, the High Council basically will decide any court case that they want to. And so the people do not have a voice in the High Council. The High Council gets to say, hey, I happen to be the leader of a part of a country of one, of which several of the countries in the Federation, there's only one constituent in there, and they have just as much voice as the Federation president, and they are all the ones that get to decide whether or not which side of a trial will be seen as the winner of a trial. And I don't think that's correct, so I would support the complete abolition of the High Council. But
Any
Moving on to
discussion
the
there?
next question.
Okay.
Oh. Wait.
I would like to point out that, first of all, Senator Crustaceans alluded to the quote-unquote fact that there are several constituent governments with only one citizen. There's only one constituent government with one citizen. Second of all, is it not in a standard traditional court case that there are only 12 people, a significantly small sample of the population that actually decide the events of a court case, not to mention that there are 9 Supreme Court justices which decide practically everything? Is it really that far-fetched that we would have a small sample of people deciding court cases for our government?
So in like these criminal cases that we'll have, those are typically decided by a jury of your peers. High Council is not a jury of your peers.
Got it.
I think we can move
Are
on.
we not all? Do we not all have equal say in the Senate?
Technically, yeah. I don't know what that has to do with the High Council.
Did you say technically no?
Technically, yeah.
Okay, technically yeah. Then, and are we not all citizens of the Server Federation?
Like all people who are citizens, they are citizens, but there are dual citizenships that are not recognized currently.
Okay, and would you also say that if somebody was involved in the court case, that they should not be allowed to take place in the council?
Yeah.
Then all of those are in place. That law is in place. And
So it just happens to be that every single time it will be Ascara King, the ruler of the ruler of Petra, ruler of Xanadu, ruler of Blartsburg, and ruler of Controlor will always be the 4 people who get to decide. And if one of them is being charged, then they won't be part of it, but it's only those people. And so the regular citizen doesn't get to decide on court cases, it's only the elites.
then is it not the duty of, I mean, I think this is really what we're, like, what the argument is that the people are deciding right now if we can reform the High Council into something separate and a separate judicial center from the Senate, or if all of the court cases are going to go straight through the Senate. And honestly, I don't think that people who do not thoroughly know the laws of the Server Federation and the inner workings of it should necessarily have such great voice in criminal or civil court cases.
Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
Haha. I mean, I'm so sorry.
Maybe we should move on. Let's move on to the next question.
I disagree with that idea that regular citizens shouldn't have a say if just because they don't understand the law. It would then be up to the prosecution and defense to teach them the law.
Okay, then why don't we?
What do you mean, why don't we? We haven't had a court case. It's currently the High Council. Another point is some things are so corrupt that you cannot reform them. You simply must abolish them and then build something up that is different and better.
If I may, Madam Senator, what exactly are you proposing?
The abolition of the High Council.
But what to replace
What do
it?
you propose in replacement?
Not necessarily a replacement. I would like for court cases to just go through the Senate like normal. And I mean, does the council have any real power then? It just basically approves whether or not different countries can join at that point, right?
Madam Senator,
I mean,
have you read the charter?
But isn't that the, yeah, I've read it, but that's basically it, right? It's just court cases and letting countries in. That's basically all things we can do in the Senate and having people's voices heard.
Through democracy?
Yes.
I
That's
think
what,
we should
that's what
definitely.
democracy is. That's
we
what
need-
a Senate's for.
Okay, we need to move on to the next question. I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host II the Recycler II.
Okay. This is the final question. What is your vision for the Federation, and how specifically would you realize this vision during your administration?
Who do you want to go first?
Oh, sorry. Malachi Brown, 523.
When I was first sworn into office, I promised the Server Federation that we would become the center place of a renaissance of education and art and industry. And sorry, the audience member was distracting me. I would like to ask the audience member to keep quiet so that I can actually finish my thoughts, if you don't mind.
Madam
Can I
President,
ask my opponent to stop being immature?
Madam Senator, sorry. Please return to your lectern.
I promised that the Server Federation would become the birthplace of the Renaissance of education, art, and industry. Is that not what we have made it? We have the first and so far only university on the server where you can get degrees which will give you a better rate of pay and actually teach you stuff that can be useful in Minecraft and the civilization that we have created. Is it not true that our industry is funding the world's first UBI program successfully without any proven inflation, and so that people can actually live here and be able to spend money and participate in the economy? And so when I envision my vision as well as the Lore Party's vision for the Server Federation, I think of that renaissance and how we can continue it and make it better. Specifically, I'm thinking of finishing the freeway that we started under my presidency, and that will allow the overworld for constituent governments to be connected by one freeway without having to travel through the nether. I plan on expanding the UBI program to the entire Server Federation and not just Controlor. And I plan on resuming and invigorating diplomacy with the first Newportian Empire, with various projects that we can work to tie our two communities together.
Madam Senator,
What was the question?
What is your vision for the Federation?
Oh, he
and
talked
how...
for like 2 minutes, guys. It's been a long time.
Oh no, I get it. Don't worry,
Sorry,
babe.
she was too busy
What?
standing on my lectern.
Anyways, what is your vision for the Federation, and how specifically would you realize this vision during your administration?
I love the idea of connectivity. So I started that when I built our first nether path between Kip Kim and Newport, and then another path again I built between Kip Kim and the Mesa. And I love this idea of us continuing to connect with other worlds, other parts of the server. And I would just love to see Kip Kim to move forward into a more connected place where people feel wanted and they feel loved and they feel... Oh, my printer just started going off. What the heck? There's no one home. What? But I would, just like that printer is connected to some spirit ghost, I would love for Kid Kim to be connected with the entirety, or for the whole Federation to be connected with other parts of the server in peace and diplomacy.
In other words, not specifically at all.
Now, would the candidates like to open this topic up to debate?
I guess since I wasn't specific enough by Malachi's standards, I would love to continue these nether paths that I started in my presidency, and then he has upgraded into minecart paths through the nether. I would love to continue that. in the spirit of connectivity, and I would love to abolish the evil trafficking trade, and then instead possibly hire some people who can go out into mining for iron in order to fund a UBI program in a more equitable way.
Madam Senator, do you realize what you just said? You're going to
What?
hire people to go get more money.
Yeah,
Where's that money coming from?
my money. I'm literally so rich.
Why are you hiring people to get money then?
So then they'll be put to work.
So you're literally just hiring people to go get money when you could be funding the UBI program yourself out of your own budget directly. Please give me my lectern back.
It's right there.
I don't have any free inventory space.
What the frick?
I have so much bread. Hey!
Will the candidates please return to your own lecterns?
But so basically that's just a possibility.
It wasn't placed.
That's just a possibility for UBI. I can work out the rest with any ideas that the lore bank has. But I do think it is important to abolish the villager trafficking.
Brown 523, do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we are all set.
Okay. We have reached the end of the question and answer portion of the presidential debate. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to give their closing statements. We'll begin with Senator Crustaceans.
Okay. So I just want to thank everybody for having me here and humbling me in order to serve you. I would love to be able to serve the Federation. I feel I did a good job as a president. First round, I fought that after when the Constitution was established without the consent of anyone on the server except for a few elite people, I fought that the Constitution be changed in any means possible so that the Federation did not step on other people's toes and take control over millions and millions of blocks that they did not deserve and had not earned. And I believe in self-government of these territories who may want to join us and who also may want to leave. I believe in the rights of the people. And that's really just what the Commoners Party is all about. It's about advocating for the people, and the common people should always, always come first. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that people come first.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. President?
Whether you side with the Lore Party or the Commoners Party or neither, there's one thing I believe that we all have in common, and one reason why we all left the first Newportian Empire, and that's to give ourselves a voice, to restore democracy. And together we have become the largest democracy in server history, and the only democracy currently in the world. I think I intend to, with every atom of my composition, preserve it. A vote for the Lore Party is a vote for your future votes. Thank you, and conch bless the Server Federation.
That concludes the Newport Report BuzzPort presidential presidential debate. Thank you to both of the candidates for their participation tonight.
And to the people of the Federation, don't forget to vote.